Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Johann. Johann is the German form of John. Both the English John and the German Johann are linguistic variations of the Latin Iohannes, the Greek Ioannēs, and, its ultimate source, the Hebrew Yochanan, all of which translate to Yahweh, God, is gracious or God is generous. The name John does appear in the Old Testament, or Hebrew Bible, as one of King David's mighty men. However, John owes most of his enduring popularity and widespread usage to two prominent New Testament figures, John the Baptist and John the Apostle. As a masculine given name, John, Johann, etc., came into usage throughout Europe after the Crusades, a series of religious wars between the 11th and 13th centuries. Many Christian knights and peasants throughout Western Europe made their way east to the Holy Lands in order to restore Christian access to the sacred city of Jerusalem and to liberate the Eastern Christians from invading and occupying Turkish Sunni Muslims. When these so-called pilgrim warriors returned home from their crusades reinvigorated by their faith, they brought the biblical name John back with them. From that point on, there was no stopping the popularity of this name throughout Western Europe, and every language had their own version of the name: Sean, Irish, Ian, Scottish, Giovanni, Italian, Jean, French, Juan, Spanish, Johan, German, Jan, Dutch, and Ivan, Russian, just to name a few. The John name has been borne by 23 Roman Catholic popes, 8 Byzantium emperors, scores of saints, many kings, and several U.S. presidents. In all of its many forms in various languages, John, or, in this case, Johann, has remained a perennial favorite, perhaps the most successful masculine name ever in the Western world. Many illustrious German men can claim the name Johann, from the 15th century inventor of the printing press, Johann Gutenberg, to the 18th and 19th century composers Johann Sebastian Bach and Johann Strauss, respectively. Not to mention Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the 18th-19th century German writer known best for his tragic play Faust, 1808. Personality of the boy named Johann. The number 8 personality has everything to do with power, wealth, and abundance. Somehow, this personality has been blessed on the material plane, but their authoritative and problem-solving traits provide evidence that their good fortunes are not just the luck of the lottery. They are well-earned. This is the personality of CEOs and high-ranking military personnel. 8s are intensely active, hard-driving individuals. Success is only meaningful to them after a job well done. They are remarkable in their ability to see the larger picture right down to the smallest details and organize a strategy around success. They then have the ability to direct a group around them toward any goal and realize individual potential to get the most out of their team. Popularity of the boy named Johann. We would have expected to see Johann appear on the U.S. male naming charts in the late 19th century when German immigration to the United States was at its peak. But it didn't. In fact, Johann just appeared on America's Top 1000 list for the first time in 2010. Not only that, but it's a low-ranking name. Johann, with one N, is much more popular. This is the version used among Low Germans, Scandinavians, and the Dutch. Johann with 2 Ns remains alive and well in Germany and Liechtenstein. Johann is a great choice for parents who like traditional, time-honored names and want to celebrate their German heritage. Even if you aren't German, Johann is a more cosmopolitan choice with European sensibility. We also love the pronunciation, Johann. Quick facts on Johann. Gender, boy. Origin, German. Number of syllables, 2. Ranking popularity, 942. Pronunciation, Johann. Simple meaning, God is gracious. Characteristics of Johann. Powerful, wealthy, tenacious, problem solver, achiever, tough, authoritative. Cultural references to the baby name, Johann. Famous people named Johann. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, German writer, Johannes Gutenberg, German inventor of the printing press, Johann Strauss, Austrian composer, Johann David Weiss, author, Johann Friedrich Gmelin, German naturalist/botanist, Johann Sebastian Bach, German composer, Johann van Beethoven, father of Ludwig van Beethoven. Historic figures with the name Johann. Johann von Goethe was one of the giants of literature, having produced poetry, novels, memoirs, scientific treatises, an autobiography, and plays, the most famous of which was Faust. He is considered to be Germania-Euro's most revered writer. Born in Frankfurt to an upper-middle-class family, Goethe studied and practiced law for a time, but was much more drawn to the literary life. In 1774, his novel, The Sorrows of Young Werther, established his reputation, and enjoyed a spell as one of the first Euro. He and his good friend Friedrich Schiller founded the Weimar Klassizismus Euro movement, which had a tremendous influence on the 19th century, and his masterpiece, Faust, written over a period of 50 years, is a seminal piece in the history of literature. A giant he may be, but here is a nice piece of trivia. He is the great-great-grandfather of Oki Largo singer, Bertie Higgins. Now Theta S1 for the books. Johann Strauss II was the son of Johann Strauss Sr., and like his father, was an Austrian composer of hugely popular waltzes, polkas and quadrilles, as well as several operettas. During his career, he was known as Euroith Waltz King de Euro, and gave his famous father a run for his money, leaving us such contemporary standards as Euroith Blue Danubia Euro and Euroith Tales from the Vienna Wutze Euro, as well as the popular operetta, Euroidi Fledermause Euro. Father and son sparred over the years, but when the elder died, the younger combined their orchestras and embarked upon many successful tours, including to the United States. Young Strauss also managed to outlive his father by almost 30 years. Johann Gutenberg is no less than the man who revolutionized the world through the introduction of the printing press to Europe, hence, the availability of learning to all people. His use of movable type, ink and a printing press quite simply changed the world. Of the man personally, little is known. After all, no one was printing up biographies yet. Much of our knowledge of him comes from court records, wherein he is either suing, for a broken promise of marriage, no less, or being sued, or inheriting his father's estate. He appears to have continued in his father's trade, goldsmithing, before concentrating on the printing work. Largely unsung and financially unsuccessful in his lifetime, this giant of modernity is widely acknowledged today. His masterpiece was the Gutenberg Bible, 2 copies of which, of about 48 known copies, complete and incomplete, reside in the British Library. Should you be interested in purchasing a complete copy, please be prepared to fork over about 5 million. Johann Sebastian Bach is the German-born composer and performer of Baroque classical music, the author of such masterpieces as Ioannēs in B minor Euro, Euroith Well-Tempered Clavier Euro and the Euro Brandenburg Concertosa Euro. It was almost impossible for Johann Sebastian Bach not to be a musician. He descended from a long generational line of such. He was a beautiful singer in his youth, until the dreaded voice change, and played the violin, harpsichord and organ, as well as composing. Early positions as church organist brought him into conflict with the clergy over his independent streak and his tendency to do things his own way. More successfully, he served as court composer to both Prince Leopold and August III. Bach was very popular as a performing organist, but it took until the 19th century for his formidable genius as a composer to be recognized. Today, he is classed with the Euro, Beethoven and Brahms, as being the acknowledged giants of the field. Almost as prolific a progenitor as a composer, Bach fathered 20 children between his 2 wives. Johann Strauss I was the Austrian composer of beautifully melodic Viennese waltzes, played in 3/4 time, as well as several polkas, all of which are enjoyed as much today as in his era. Johannes' origins did not promise such success. His mother died when he was 7, his father when the boy was 12. His guardian placed him in a bookbinding apprenticeship, which he actually completed. At the same time, however, he was studying music and managed to secure an orchestral position. Johann Strauss was also the father of Johann Strauss II, and several other musical sons, who was his chief rival for a while. While married, Strauss Sr. carried on a long affair with another woman, siring several children with her. When his wife became aware of this, she divorced him and threw herself into furthering Strauss Jr.'s career. Ironically, it was one of those illegitimate children who inadvertently caused Strauss Sr.'s early death by exposing him to scarlet fever. Ah, but the music is glorious.